I see creators as one of the best positions to be in, whether, it's fitness or writing or whatever creator you want to be. But I see audience building as the core foundation that everything else is built upon. You just can't go broke. It's impossible to go broke. Like, I tweet 4 times a day and I grow by a minimum of 100 followers, usually like 300 followers a day. And that comes out over a period of time. It took me a few years to get there, but that's crazy. Like, to get the amount of impressions I get organically, it costs over $10,000 in ads.
You've also coined the term like full stack creator. Can you tell us a bit about what that means?
Yeah, so going forward, I see creators as one of the best positions to be in, whether, it's fitness or writing or whatever creator you want to be. But I see audience building as the core foundation that everything else is built upon. So you have audience building, you're growing your social media following, then you stack on sales, you stack on marketing, you stack on whatever other skills, and you just can't go broke. It's impossible to go broke, because the audience building, when you build an audience, see how many times I can say audience, but when you build an audience, you are not only increasing the amount of people that may become potential clients, but you're also warming them up. You're warming that pool up. So if you run an ad, that person's cold. They don't know you. They don't know, like, or trust you. And it's way more work to try to get that person to become a client. But if you build an audience, then over time, those people are growing to know you. They're growing to like you and trusting you, because, you're putting out content. And if you do the content correctly, it's going to nurture them. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know Dakota, or I know Joe or Bob or whatever. I like them. So when they do want to hire a personal trainer or hire whatever, they're going to go to the person they know, like, and trust, which is you, because they know you over time. So super powerful in that aspect. And then also the compounding aspect. Like, I tweet 4 times a day and I grow by a minimum of 100 followers, usually like 300 followers a day. And that comes out over a period of time. It took me a few years to get there, but that's crazy. Like, to get the amount of impressions I get organically, it costs over $10,000 in ads. So you look over a long enough time horizon, and it's just absolutely bonkers what it compounds into. And then not only that, you hop on a sales call with a prospect and they've known you for a while. They put you on a pedestal, and it's just way easier to convert people on sales calls. So there's all these benefits. And I mean, not to mention opportunities, right? You get on podcasts, or you get featured in articles or whatever. So I just see audience building as this huge opportunity. And we're just getting started. Like, the creator economy is going to double in the next, I think, 5 years, Goldman Sachs says. Something crazy like that. So if you start building now, what it turns into in a few years is just mind-boggling. And then the funny thing, too, is a lot of these creators, they don't understand marketing. They don't understand sales, whatever. So not only are you separating yourself by becoming a creator, but if you stack these skills on top of the audience building skill, no one can compete. There's so few people that take the time to learn these skills. So I think it's a very lucrative opportunity going forward.
It's such a good perspective to hear on that, because a lot of people, they see every kind of bull run of different platforms and they go, oh, I've missed it. You know what? There's no point in starting. But you're totally right that not only is there a compounding effect, that I suppose, you're seeing the benefits of the efforts that you put in 3 years ago now, but there's also this coalescing of different skills that you mentioned. We normally see things with the hat of, lead generation is a different skill to sales, which is a different skill to nurture, which is a different skill to coaching. But actually these start to really blend into each other and create this ripple effect where you become unstoppable. You become this hedged version of yourself where all of these different skills are feeding into each other. And every time you learn one, every time you upgrade yourself in some way, those gains are locked in, and then you can stack on top of them. So it's really encouraging to hear you say that. I suppose the other side of it is that people see you at this stage in your journey and probably think, well, you've always been amazing at all these different skills and there's no hope for me. I'm starting from zero. It's easy for you. You've got 200,000 followers, but how do I get started? Is there anything that you have learned from the last few years that you would advise to someone now if they're starting from zero?
Yeah, just go viral, bro. That's all you gotta. I'm kidding. So when I started out on Twitter, this is September of 2020. I started out, man, it was rough. I was posting generic content that sounded like it should have come from a fortune cookie. Struggling to grow. I was growing maybe 3 followers a day. My posts would get 2 likes or 5 or 11 likes. Be like, whoa, this is crazy. So I was really struggling to grow. And I think I grew to 750 followers in 3 months. And that was me tweeting every day, 5 times a day, just going hard, writing a lot. And then there was this account that just grew to 1,000 followers in 30 days. And I was just dumbfounded. I'm looking at this person just going crazy on the timeline, just growing like crazy. Meanwhile, I'm struggling. So eventually started talking to this guy. I hopped on a call with him and he was talking to me and he told me, yeah, man, I was in the same position as you last year. I was tweeting, I wasn't growing, really struggling, tweeting exact same stuff you were, self-improvement stuff and all that. I just didn't grow, so I quit. Started studying copywriting and then came back and started teaching on the timeline. And lo and behold, I started growing. So I just got my gears churning and just thinking, okay, this guy's teaching an actual skill and he's providing value on the timeline. And because of that, people value him and they're following him. My mistake was I was tweeting stuff just to get the likes, just to get the impressions, what sounds good, right? This guy was teaching a hard skill and actually educating people, giving actual advice. So that's when it clicked in my head. It's like, okay, to be valued, you got to provide value first. So I switched my account. I restarted, rebranded myself as a writing account, started educating myself on writing and applying what I was learning, then teaching it on the timeline. And I just started doing more volume with comments. And lo and behold, I grew to 1,000 followers in 40 days. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You actually give something of value and people are like, oh, I want to follow that. So it's the route I've been going for all my ghostwriting clients, all my students. I tell them, teach a skill, give actual advice in a domain that you have interest in and that there's market demand for, and you will grow. If you're giving valuable information, actual advice, and you're getting that in front of the right people, you are going to grow. It just makes sense. The incentives are in line. Biggest mistake people make, the mistake I made, you're just tweeting or posting content that sounds good. The motivational quotes. There's nothing wrong with that, but if that's all you're posting, people can go to those stupid motivation accounts on Instagram to get that stuff. What makes you different? It's, actual advice, you're providing value, and also your story. So really double downing on both those aspects is crucial.
I love that framing because a lot of the time someone going into the market of what can I extract from the market? What value can I get from other people? How can I elevate my own status with more followers or whatever, rather than thinking, what can I give to the market? How can I be of value? And I think, I'm not blaming the people that think this way, but I think the make money online world is partly to blame with this because it's very much framed as here's what you can get if and it won't require any effort and all this. And so there's a sense of entitlement that you sometimes see with people, both on the free end and on the paid end. Sometimes people will sign up with you. They're like, well, I've paid you, so the clients should fall in my lap now. And there's maybe not an appreciation of the amount of work required in getting an online business off the ground, but also the framing that's required. That, as you said, you have to be of value to be valued. And so I'm so glad that you started with this core essence of you have to have a skill that solves a problem for someone that they would be ultimately willing to pay for, or at least willing to pay with their attention.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think about, how much money would you pay for a water bottle if you weren't thirsty? You probably wouldn't pay anything. You don't really want it. Maybe you would. I don't know. Maybe you want to stay hydrated. But you wouldn't pay much. How much money would you pay for a water bottle when you're thirsty? You'd probably pay, $3, $2, whatever it is. how much would you pay for a water bottle when you are in the middle of the desert, you are dehydrated, the sun's just beating down on you, there's nothing, no civilization in sight, and someone offers you a water bottle, but they say, yeah, give me $1 million or everything in your bank account. You would pay that because you're in such a big pain point that, you have no other option. So the bigger pain point you solve, the more money you can make, right? So, and the more you can grow a following on whatever social media platform. My buddy's girlfriend, she has no social media experience. She's a physiotherapist and she creates content around how to solve back pain. How many people have back pain? Such a big problem, such a big pain point, literally, that is for people. She grew to like 60,000 followers in 3 months just posting reels, and they're not even high quality, production. It's just like off the phone, just showing exercises. So you just want to think about, what pain points am I solving and how am I helping people go from pain island to desire outcome island, right? So
Pain Island is a terrible place to be.
do not
And you're right.
recommend.
Back pain is a really hot topic. Like you said there about your initial growth from 0 to 1,000. Sometimes you'll be posting stuff and then you'll just feel like you stepped on a live wire and you're like, whoa, okay, that was a real hot topic. And you get there by posting a large volume of stuff. Some of our highest ranking videos on YouTube are back pain related. And I wasn't making the videos to try and rank on the Google search terms. I was just doing it because I struggled with a disc injury and it was causing me pain. And I thought, okay, I'll document my findings and post it out there. And lo and behold, as you say. So yeah, I think this value framing, super important. And it's the counter to the sense of entitlement that if you're going to go out onto the internet and expect people to pay you attention and pay you money, you've got to be doing something that's worth that. In that process, let's say someone's like, all right, I'm on board with the fact that I'm going to have to be somewhat useful, but where do I start? How do I find my niche and my offer? Loads of people, personal trainers particularly, because when you're working in a gym, for example, your niche is just anyone who lives within a 10-mile radius of your gym. And so you never really have to think too hard about solving a particular problem because you've got the leads kind of coming in the door and they're already there, hot and ready. So, so how do you make that transition for somebody who's moving online to decide on the initial problem that they're solving in their niche?
Yeah, well, I would look at, okay, what problems have you overcome? Like, what do you have experience in? What do you enjoy talking about, right? Maybe I'm a big carnivore guy and I love talking about, meat. I love meat. Yeah. Or maybe keto, right? Or, like, how did you go about losing weight? Or how did you go about, gaining muscle? You're talking about that method. But I think it's a fine line, right? I think people can niche down too much. Like, I talk about my contents around how women over 60 can use the keto diet to lose, XYZ pounds in, whatever days. I think if you go too niche, then it's going to be harder to grow because you're just like blocking off a certain amount of people. And I think if you go too broad, then it can be hard to distinguish yourself amongst everyone else. But the way I look at it, the way you're going to separate yourself is really with personality and your story, how you deliver the information. Because at the end of the day, if you're a personal trainer, it comes down to, move more, eat less. Or like, there's only like a core, principles that really work, right? And there's just different ways of doing those core principles. So I think when it comes to content, I think you can go more broad, but, deliver more personality or give really good information, like actual information. And then when it comes to your offer, maybe go a bit more niche, talking about keto or whatever kind of mechanism you want to use to separate yourself from other people. But yeah, I think when it comes to content, I think you can go more broad, to be honest, because that's what's gonna get the traffic to your profile. You could touch on different benefits and cons to different approaches and all of that, or you can even call out different approaches. Maybe you don't like veganism, or maybe you don't like keto, and you can call it out, and that'll get traffic to your profile. And then people check your offer and, see it's like, oh, this might work for me. But what I found is really personality sets you apart. And if you have an interesting personality, you have interesting takes, interesting stories, that's what's going to resonate with people. And when people connect with you, you can even have a shittier offer than someone else. If they connect with you and like you, they're gonna be like, yeah, I want that person. I'm gonna hire that person to help me with my problem.
Interesting. So there's some overlaps and some differences with the structure of our business. So for context, probably 80 to 90% of Propane as a business is driven by paid traffic. And so the audience targeting and the niching and the content style differs slightly compared to someone like Dakota, who, I don't know if do you actually run any paid traffic, or are you entirely, okay, so you're entirely organic. So I guess thinking of this with two different hats on, as Dakota said, if you're testing lots of different angles and different content, you can afford to do that for free with posting content, because it doesn't cost you anything to create a short or a reel or something. And you can throw the net wide, see what resonates, and actually hone in on what is working. And it's a great sense of freedom, particularly with platforms like Twitter, X, because you can bash out loads of different ideas, and each tweet or each post has a shot at gaining some traction. I also think the overlap between the organic hat and the paid hat is the personality, as you've said, because people don't buy coaching, they buy coaches. And so a lot of that is about just being unfiltered, taking the brakes off, and just being as silly as you are, because that's what's going to attract someone to you. And that's probably what attracted you to us to listen to this podcast, for example. If you follow Dakota, it's what attracted you to him. If he was just a marketing textbook, it's completely dry, and there's no joy in that. You're going to scroll on and find something more exciting. So letting go of the brakes and just being your fullest self online is massive. And then you have your niche, which is kind of the intersection of the person, the problem, and the outcome. And I guess depending on whether you're running paid traffic to a targeted audience, or if you're doing organic traffic, that's going to determine the weighting of how heavy you go on the outcome in your content. So whether you're talking about the benefits of the outcome and the costs of not following the process and other methods that someone might have tried and all of that kind of stuff. And you then create this like more and more focused scope towards your target client.
I mean, I think about Greg Doucette. I don't know if people know, but he was posting videos on YouTube, and they're very, very educational, but they're also like very dry, very cut and dry. And then he started leaning it more into his crazy personality, like just like flaring his arms out and, just yelling a lot more. And what was funny is he started getting more views because he was more entertaining to watch. He was just some crazy guy, sounds like some kind of parrot from a Disney movie, I think. And,
yeah, it's very, very cartoonish. If you don't know who Greg Doucette is, by the way, go and have a look at him on YouTube. But before you watch him, scroll back to 10 years ago of his first videos. He's like, hey guys, it's Greg Doucette. I'm just eating some sweet potato here. I'm going to go and train my arms. And then like 2023, he's like, yo guys, he's like, proper, like, yeah, just super animated, like cartoon voice. It's crazy to see, actually. Like I can't quite process the transformation that's happened to him, but it's worked. It's probably made him a lot of money.
100%. Yeah, it's huge. So it's like kind of finding different aspects of your personality and leaning more into it a bit. Or if you're kind of quirky, leaning into that. And it takes a lot of reps to get more confident with that. But over time, you get that confidence. You lean more into those different aspects, and it's more entertaining.
For sure. So in terms of like, where should you point the scope if you're just starting? What we often recommend to the coaches that we work with is just look at your own YouTube history. Like, what is the stuff that you enjoy consuming? And it's probably something that you're quite good at talking about, and it naturally consumes you, and therefore you'd be very easy to talk about and riff on. Anything else that you use for inspiration for content?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's what I recommend to people too. I say, look at your YouTube recommendations, because the algorithm knows you better than you know yourself. Usually it's crazy. So that's a great one. And then also, I would spend a good 30 to 60 minutes just writing down all your interests, everything that comes to mind, even if you think it's not relevant, just write it down on a list. And then also ask your friends and family, what do you think of when you think of me? What am I good at? And ask them, because oftentimes, we're so focused on ourselves. We just think, oh, everyone knows what I know, the curse of knowledge. But when you ask your friends and family, they have that outside perspective, and, they'll tell you these things you didn't even notice about yourself. So I would also recommend asking your friends and family, what really separates you from other people, or what do they think of when they think of you? That's a great way. But yeah, really looking at what social media content you consume. It's a great indicator.
There's something that I'd like to expand on that you kind of hinted at a bit earlier. And this applies to personal trainers posting some content online. They've got 200 Instagram followers, mostly their mum and their mum's friends, and they're not getting traction. And they've been told by business mentors that they just need to do loads of outreach and just message all their followers and just do cold outreach. They're uncomfortable with that, and they feel like the content they're posting isn't reaching the audience that they want it to. Now, you mentioned when you were growing from 0 to 1,000 that you stepped up the volume of comments as well. Presumably this is like a strategy to improve the kind of blast radius of your account and start intermingling with other influencers and people who are more aligned with that. But can you tell us a bit more about what you were doing there?
Yeah, so this was for Twitter. This is the approach I took for Twitter back in the day. But there's two parts to growing on social media. There's the content, and then there is distribution. So content's obviously, content. There can be personal stories, actual advice, whatever. And you could have the best content in the world, but if no one's seeing it, if you don't have distribution or traffic that's seeing that, you have the best post in the world, but it doesn't matter. It's like putting whipped cream on dog shit, as I always say.
The worst. I've tried it. It's terrible.
Yeah, I would not recommend. And then distribution. So distribution comes in different forms. So if you want more free traffic distribution, then it would be commenting a lot. So when you comment on someone's page, there's a small percentage of people that are going to click on your profile if you have an insightful comment or something that gets people to check your profile. And some of those people are going to follow you because, they liked your comment, checked your profile. Oh, they check your content when they're on your profile. Oh, yeah, that seems good. I want to follow this young chap. So that's one way to get distribution. So I just upped the volume that I was doing that, and I started growing a lot more. The other way you can get distribution or traffic is by paying other people to retweet your post on Twitter or share your post on Instagram or comment on your stuff on LinkedIn. You can pay like $10 to $50 per, repost and get traffic that way. So you're kind of skipping the step where you're commenting a bunch and you're leveraging other people's audiences who have the audience that you want to post your stuff. And naturally, some people are going to like that content that's posted if it's good. And they go, oh yeah, I'm going to follow this person because it's just aligned. So that's a big cheat code that a lot of people don't know about. That's what I actually use for Instagram to grow to like 180K followers, and it's bonkers in like 2 months. I also hit a trend, so that helped too. But so there's different ways you can go about getting distribution and traffic. So comments is the main one that's free. And, if you just do enough volume, people are going to click your profile and follow you.
Interesting. And did you have a set cadence and target number of types of people that you would comment on?
Yeah. So I basically looked at the people, okay, who has the audience that I want? And, just started commenting minimum 25 times a day. It was usually 25 to 50 times a day. This is the moment I realized I wasn't doing enough volume. I was commenting 5 to 10 times a day. I was like, okay, why am I not growing? Then my friend Adam just casually mentioned he's commenting 100 times a day. I was like, what? And he was growing a good amount. I couldn't figure it out. And that was why, because he was just putting in so much more volume than I thought was necessary. So doing that. And also it has the benefit when you comment on these people's accounts, these bigger accounts that have the audience you want, you're also developing a relationship with them. And if you have insightful comments or comments that aren't rephrasing the original post.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, you can tell when someone's doing it as a tactic when they're just paraphrasing your
Yeah.
original tweet in usually worse writing.
100%. Yeah, it's brutal, dude. Everyone's doing that. So when you come in, you're kind of joking around with the original poster, or maybe you ask an insightful question, or you add on to what they're saying. That stuff makes you look a lot better and actually makes the person, want to create that connection with you. And if you get these big accounts following you, then that's a form of social proof. If I go to someone's profile and see 500 people that I follow this person, I'm way more likely to follow that person. So that's an underrated aspect of commenting a lot, is you're getting exposure, but you're also developing relationships with these people, which can lead to different opportunities, get social proof, all of that. But I wouldn't comment just to, take from that other person, like, oh, like, can I get them to follow me? Just go in with them as a normal human being. And if you genuinely like their stuff, then comment on their stuff. And yeah, it's
I
a nice,
can sense that with the energy that you bring online as well. Like, you're having fun and you're prolific as well with the comments. And it's like, it's quite impressive that you can do that with the size of account that you have, that you're still doing some of the outside in stuff as well as the inside out. And I think that's maybe the key thing that people are missing. If the classic 200 followers, mum and mum's friends, that thinking if I just post more to my mum and my mum's friends, that something's going to change. And you're saying, no, you need to go out and actually drive traffic to your account and start mingling, being social on social media, and then things happen.
100%. Yeah, it's hard to get discoverability without actually, going out into the hunting grounds and, getting people to follow you. Unless it's TikTok where it's organically built in, you post and it reaches out. Instagram Reels are kind of like that, but not to the degree of TikTok, at least from what I found. But yeah.
Interesting. I suppose on the same vein, a lot of people have an aversion to outbound marketing. And I understand why, because they don't want to be cold messaging and spamming people and so on. But these are leads and people that you're speaking to who are potential clients. And if you're averse to speaking to them now, then why would they want to speak to you when you're actually coaching them? So that's another aspect of the whole thing that people sleep on. I'm not saying it should be 100% of your marketing strategy, but even Propane, with the size that it is, 4 sales reps, team of 14 people, but we still have a lot of outbound marketing as part of our strategy because it's cheap and it works well. And if you've got a core funnel that works well, once you send someone to that traffic and you know that you're offering value when they land in your world, then it's going to grow. It's just getting more eyeballs on a quality offer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're actually helping people, then you should get as many people into that program as possible. And if Outbound is one of those ways, hell yeah, go hard with that. I've actually just started doing that, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. It's been a game changer. You get so many more leads that way.
It's huge. And, it's putting fuel on the fire, basically, that you've already got a high quality account that you're sending people to. And I think that's always the key thing. A lot of people think, oh, you know what, I'm sick of organic. I'm going to run ads because organic's not working for me. And it's like, we can tell immediately that you start running ads, you're going to be wasting your money, because if you're getting 0 sales organically, you're going to get 0 sales with ads, because ads are just more eyeballs on the same thing. And if it's a shit offer, getting more people to look at the shit offer isn't going to convert any higher. If anything, it's going to be slightly lower if it's a colder audience.
Yep, whipped cream on dog shit once again.
Yeah, there we go. The continental breakfast. So speaking of all of that, then, if you were starting in 2023, what platform would you choose?
I think I'm biased, but I would choose X, aka Twitter, because you can post content on X and you can post that on any other platform after. All my content on Instagram is based off my content on X. All my content on LinkedIn based off X. All my videos, short form video scripts based off X. So X is such a great platform because it helps you cut the fluff. I mean, now you can write more than 280 characters, but if you kind of still stick to that 280 character limit to write one thought, one piece of actual advice, one story, then you're going to learn to write in such a concise way, in such a way that simplifies the idea and condenses it down, you're going to get really good at doing that. And once you get really good at doing that, you're going to become really good at conveying ideas. If you can convey ideas, then you can create banger content that people easily understand. And when they easily understand, they're more prone to check out your offer, more prone to check out your profile, all of that stuff. So I really recommend X. X has got so many benefits too. I mean, the people on there are super high quality if you get in the right crowds. They have spaces, so it's like Clubhouse where you can go on, talk, and that's a great way to grow. Now you can monetize just by creating content and getting impressions. Mind you, at the beginning, it's going to be absolutely nothing, but over time, I get paid like $100, $200, $300 a month just to create content. I mean, it's cool. And then just the expansion of what's happening on X right now is crazy. So they're going to become a YouTube competitor. They're going to become a TikTok competitor. I think it's the future. I think Elon Musk is one of the smartest dudes out there. You know, love him or hate him. I think if he's sending rockets to Mars and digging tunnels under cities, I think he can figure out social media.
And hopefully he can grow X.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an optimistic view of it as well. I really want Twitter to continue growing because it's been the easiest form of social media for us to grow, for sure. And as you say, it's the lowest effort. Like it's a testing ground. You can just bash out. Most of our growth has come from me just doing, you might be sick at this, Dakota, but the super lazy version, I just bashed 1,000 tweets into a CSV file, uploaded it maybe 18 months ago, and just let it run. And it's been great. You know, you've just got to make sure you take out any of the ones that are like, hey, hope everyone had a nice Christmas, and it goes out in August or something. But yeah, the type of platform allows you or forces you to be a distiller of complex information and to synthesize the key nuggets for everything. It makes you a better writer, makes you a better video creator, a better content creator, and a better coach. And as you say, it's easy access. Everyone's on a kind of level playing field where you can speak to and interact with people who normally you wouldn't be able to get access to or be on their radar, especially if you follow your approach there of just going for volume with interacting with similar accounts. The other thing is that there's no need to add in additional skill sets. Most people, when starting online, have a real fear of talking to a camera, understandably. It's a very unnatural thing to be doing. And being able to just write on Twitter means you don't have to have that extra skill set to begin with. Still, obviously, would recommend learning video, and I know you're going hard on video at the minute, Dakota. But it's a skill set that takes time to build, and in the meantime, you can get started right away.
Yeah, man.